In this modern world, we have a habit of treating the symptoms of problems rather than the root causes. When someone is depressed, the first impulse is often to offer a pill, not to fix crushing loneliness or the stress of a job that might be causing the problem. We are treating the pain, but not the underlying issue itself. The long-term solution to depression is not a deficiency of antidepressants. And in the same way, the long-term solution to a nation's demographic decline is not a deficiency of immigration. We are applying a painkiller to a deep internal wound that gets worse by the day. And yet, we are told by many that this is in fact a cure. The United States and the developed world is facing a very real crisis. We are running out of children. The U.S. total fertility rate has fallen to around 1.6 children per woman, and that number has been consistently below the replacement level of 2.1 for the better part of 50 years. We have, in a sense, stopped creating the next generation at a sustainable rate, and the slow, grinding consequences of that decision are beginning to surface. This isn't an abstract number, it's a demographic decline that has begun for decades. When this problem is brought up, the solution offered is very often the same: immigration. It seems so simple, so efficient. If your population is a bucket with a leak, just open the tap and pour more people in. And that's exactly what we're doing. Right now, immigration is the biggest driver of population growth in the US. Without it, our population would already be shrinking. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, by around 2033, net internal migration is projected to be the sole driver of any population growth we have. But this argument misses a fundamental truth about how society actually works. It treats a human being as a simple unit of labor, a cog to be slotted in to an economic machine. It fails to see the profound economic difference between a baby and an adult immigrant. In a sense, babies are the most powerful economic stimulus package humanity has ever designed. From the moment they are born, they are an engine of economic activity. The average cost of raising a single child to the age of 18 in the US has now surpassed $310,000. And while that number is daunting for parents, it's important to understand that from an economic standpoint, that money doesn't vanish into a void. It flows directly into the economy, paying for diapers, food, clothes, doctor's visits, toys, and about a million other things. A newborn doesn't apply for a job, they create them. For 2 decades, a child is essentially a full-time job creator for a vast ecosystem of other highly skilled professions. Let's talk about some of the numbers. The U.S. child care industry employs over 1.1 million people, but that number is small compared to the 3.8 million educators who are employed across both public and private schools. And add to that the pediatricians, the tutors, school staff like security, janitors, and a bunch of other jobs. There are toy manufacturers, the people who build the schools, and probably 100 other jobs that I can't think of right now. A baby is essentially a 20-year public works project for society. Now, let's contrast that with an adult immigrant who comes here at the age of, let's say, 20, 25, 30. This is not to say that their arrival is negative, but their economic role is fundamentally different. A 30-year-old immigrant arrives and they're ready for work. They're an immediate contributor to the tax base, and they may bring some valuable skills, but they are also an immediate competitor for jobs, housing, and resources. The labor force participation rate for foreign-born men in the U.S. is actually far higher than for native-born men, standing at around 77% compared to only 66% for native-born men. And this creates a massive and immediate demand for things that are already scarce, most notably housing. Babies live with their parents, and they take up almost zero new physical space in terms of housing for nearly 2 decades. An immigrant family needs a place to live today and creates immediate demand for housing. This adds incredible pressure to the rental and housing markets in cities where jobs are most plentiful, which are almost always places that are already unaffordable. It's no coincidence that as immigration has become a prime driver of population growth, housing affordability has spiraled into a national crisis, with average rents in major cities increasing by over 35% since before the pandemic. And this brings us, in a sense, to an efficiency trap. From a purely cold, spreadsheet-driven perspective, importing a fully grown, educated adult is, in a sense, more efficient than a messy, expensive 20-year process of creating one. But that inefficiency that comes from raising a baby is the entire point of why they create so many jobs. And this is the very thing that sustains a healthy consumer economy. The 2 decades of spending, investment, and job creation that go into raising a child are what creates a deep, stable layer of our economic pyramid. Consumer spending, driven largely by the needs of families, accounts for nearly 70% of the entire US GDP. Just another point on efficiency. Think of it like this. If we had a machine that was infinitely efficient and could essentially create any number of products and goods and services, then jobs aren't needed anymore. The only reason jobs exist is because robotics, automation, and technology have not gotten to the point where all jobs are taken. So while we might think of immigration as a patch to fix our labor force today, it can't replicate that deep foundational economic activity that a baby creates. Relying on immigration to solve our aging problem is like trying to build a skyscraper starting on the 20th floor. By 2034, adults over the age of 65 are projected to outnumber children under 18 for the first time in US history, and this creates an impossible strain on Social Security and Medicare, a system designed for a world with a wide base of young workers. The argument that immigration can single-handedly solve this financial crisis is a fantasy. To keep the ratio of workers to retirees at its current levels through immigration alone would require bringing in millions of immigrants every single year. It's a demographic treadmill that only gets faster and faster, requiring ever more immigration to support the last wave of new arrivals as they themselves begin to age. So you can try to think of this as a leaky bucket. You can keep trying to add more water, but at the same time, the hole keeps growing where it is not sustainable. Rather than trying to fix that root cause, trying to fix the hole, instead, we just keep adding more water and we are having issues. This strategy of using immigration does not solve the root cause of why we aren't having babies in the first place. People haven't suddenly decided they don't want children. They have been pushed out of having them by a society that makes it incredibly and increasingly more difficult. The cost of center-based daycare for an infant is now more expensive than in-state college tuition in the vast majority of states. The financial penalty for motherhood, the lack of paid family leave, the soul-crushing cost of housing has made family formation a luxury item. And we can look at other countries to see the limitations of this model. Canada has one of the most aggressive immigration policies in the world, bringing in record numbers of people to offset their demographic decline. And yet, Canada's fertility rate remains at a dismal 1.3, while the country has a housing crisis that is even more severe than in the United States, despite having far more land and far fewer people than the US. This same story holds true in Australia and New Zealand and many other parts of the world. These countries have imported millions of people, but have failed to address the underlying reason why their citizens cannot afford to have families, and it creates enormous social tension. So we are at a crossroads. We can continue down our current path, treating the symptoms, and it will lead to a future of permanently higher housing costs, downward pressure on wages for low-skilled jobs in a society where its own people cannot afford to create the next generation. Or we can choose to treat the root cause. Again, the solution to a low birth rate isn't an immigration deficiency. It's a society deficiency. The real sustainable long-term solution is to build a country where young people feel confident and supported enough to start families of their own. This means confronting the housing crisis with the seriousness it deserves. It means making childcare affordable and accessible, and it means creating a culture that celebrates and supports the messy, inefficient, and profoundly essential act of raising children. Humanity can thrive with fewer people. It can do much better than it's doing right now, but the exponential decline that we are witnessing in the developed world puts nations on a path towards profound long-term decay. The goal isn't to keep a population number from just going down. It's ultimately to build a society that is actually worth inheriting. So what do you think? Should developed nations focus primarily on using immigration to keep their population numbers up? Or should the focus be on supporting families to increase the children they have? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please consider liking and subscribing. This has been Blinded by Logic. Thanks for watching.